Hi everyone, it's KIREI here for Bramble Fox, and I have a brand new process video for you using some of the new sets available in the shop. And I've got the On Safari set, the Animal set, very cute, and the Safari Mini Word set. And these were perfect to go with these photos that I've got. I've been waiting to scrap since last year. Actually, it was my birthday, my big birthday special weekend. My husband took me to Port Lympne down in Kent, and we stayed for 2 nights in the most amazing sort of wigwam. And yeah, and we did some fabulous experiences. So this one I haven't scrapped. So this was our Giraffe Safari. So we went out into the area where the giraffes were, and we got to feed them. And it was fabulous. So yeah, we had a really, really good time. In fact, probably I mean, I loved all the experiences. I love animals. I think this was my husband's favorite. So I've got the one large photo, and then I've got 7 smaller photos because I mean I had loads of photos, obviously, with all this sort of thing. I had loads of photos, and I just picked out my sort of favorites. But I loved the large photo of the giraffes that I got there. It was sort of perfect. It feels very sort of, they're out in the bush. It's beautiful day and everything like that. And I just thought I needed that one to be larger. So I've got them all mounted. I've done the photo strips, and I was going to start with that wood gray. It was sort of, well, it's a brown striped background, and I was going to do a sort of square, but I changed my mind and I decided to cut it off into a portion down the left side, and then I'm going to use another strip over on the right side. So I've changed that around. I've got my photos all mounted on a sort of green patterned paper. The collection I'm using is Eco Park Animal Kingdom. It is an older one, and it is a bit sort of young, but I have used it actually for, I think I probably used it for the other photos from my couple of nights in Port Lympne as well. And I've just picked out the things that work best for me. I really only had a sticker sheet, so I didn't have much ephemera. I've obviously got the perspectives here, which I wanted to use, and I'll show you how I add to my clusters because I really didn't have, not all of the ephemera, the stickers were particularly appropriate. So yeah. Okay, so here we go. And then I've got some of the pattern papers. I've got some smaller pieces I had left. I thought I just use them as some layering pieces behind my photos. So I've got the yellow there to add a little pop of color. I've got that sort of tropically leafy one, and then I've got another sort of soft brown with the spots on it. So I'm just going to add those there over under the photos, and then I'm going to do the same over here on the right and add, I think I just add the yellow and the tropical pattern paper. Yep, here we go. I did look at bringing in the brown, but I ended up leaving that off. It all felt a bit too much, and I did have that the other sort of stripy brown strip. Okay, so we're all stuck down now. My photos I raised with foam pads. And then I'm bringing in, there was one of the pattern papers here had the G for giraffe, which I thought I've got to add that on there. So I'm going to add that over to the right. I've got very cute, giraffe perspective. Now, here we go. This is what I'm doing to add to my clusters because I do love a cluster. So I've gone for using some dies, and this is the die from Arden Creative Studio. It was one of their very first ones, and it's called Maker Series Fern Valley craft dies, and I just cut out loads of the different types of ferns from it, and I've used the Arden premium cardstock as well. So I've used it in Hunter's Green, Coffee Bean, and Taupe. So and I actually used it I used one of the pattern papers from the Eco Park collection as well in the green, the softer green. So there's a bit of a pattern in there just as a contrast. And then I'm just really layering them up down that left side. I'm going to add a cluster over to the far right, and then I'm going to tuck some in just above where the Go Wild title is. I'm going to tuck them in onto the right there. And it worked perfectly actually. So I was looking at how I was going to build up these clusters with not a lot, to be fair, and dies are obviously a perfect way to do that. So, and I thought all the sort of ferny fronds looked perfect with my giraffe photos with all the sort of bush in the background. So yeah. Okay, the square here. I decided I'm just curling the corners up a little bit, getting that stuck down, and then I can get the giraffe stuck down over it. So I'm just layering it over the top. Very cute. Now with the set, this is the animal set, and you also get a lion, a zebra, and an elephant. They're very cute, actually. And then with the safari, the mini words, you get 5 words: zoo, snap, safari, and also raw and wild. And they come in the 2 colorways. So you get them in the mustard and the green, all in the one pack. So they're great. So I've got the snap and the safari over on the photos, and then my title is going to be Go Wild at the Zoo. So yeah, has it happened? There were 2 stickers in the Eco Park collection that said at the. So I'm using those, raising them on foam pads, and then just tucking in the little zoo from the Safari mini word set just underneath. And I thought that worked perfectly as my title. Then these are the few elements that I pulled out from the Eco Park collection from the stickers. I've de-stuck the backs of them all so I could play around with them. And I've got a few birds. I've got there's a bird of paradise flower up the top. I've got some tiny little red flowers. I've got the giraffe, a yellow flower, and I'm just playing around here working out where they're all going to go. But I'm sort of going to tuck them in to all the ferns. I thought that looked quite cute. It was a bit like they're sort of hiding in the bushes and branches, Anyway, so yeah, so I've got those tiny little red flowers. I tucked those all in. And then I realized, actually, I think later, I'm not sure it's on camera, I had no red over on the right, really. So I didn't have any more red flower stickers. On the front cover of the collection pack that I had, there was a red flower, and I cut that out. So you'll see it in the final close up in just a moment. And then I had my journaling. I did add some enamel dots afterwards as well, so you'll see that as here we go. There you go. There's the red flower. So I just cut that off the front page of the collection pack. And here are the close-ups of those fabulous perspectives. You can see all of the sets over in the shop now, bramblefox.co.uk. And there is one more set. It's called At the Zoo with some very cute monkeys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.